Not another housing crash video. We're here with an important update. We have 4 important questions you need to answer to make sure you're actually ready for a housing crash, and we're not pulling any punches on this one. So what if you woke up tomorrow and prices were 50% off? Would you be ready? So this is an important update. There are plenty of places to turn on YouTube talking about the housing bubble and the housing crash and when things might crash and how things look right now. But are you even ready for a crash? We're gonna run through these 4 important questions you need to answer in order to make sure that you're actually ready for the housing crash. You're ready to make sure you take advantage of it and don't miss it. Hey there, Christian Walsh, Wire Associates. We're real estate agents with our boots in the streets right now in this crazy housing market. We're based in Southern California. We help buyers and sellers and tenants and landlords throughout California and beyond. So if this is your first time on our channel, welcome, and where the heck have you been? And if you're coming back, thanks for visiting us again. We appreciate the support. Number 1 big question here, are you ready to buy? So if prices dropped 50% overnight, you woke up tomorrow, could you actually buy a house in the crash? That's a question you need to answer. So as an example, every month, Zillow has tens of millions of unique visitors searching for homes. But we don't sell tens of millions of homes every month. There's a lot of people that are actually looking. So when the housing crash comes, are you going to be ready to be a buyer and not just watch the housing market crash? And if you can't buy tomorrow, if not, when can you buy? So you need to get yourself ready. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to reach out for a pre-approval. So you need to make sure that you get in front of a lender who can run your credit and check to make sure that you're able to get a loan. You also have to have savings. You need to have down payment and also additional funds just in case the property needs to be fixed up, which most likely in a down market, in a housing crash, properties will need additional work. So make sure you have your money set aside. Now, as far as financing goes, don't forget in a housing market crash that things are very difficult from a lending standpoint. So you may find that the lending programs that we have right now have dried up. So you're gonna have to have a significant down payment. For example, in 2008, after everything imploded, mortgage insurance disappeared because most of the mortgage insurance companies disappeared. Well, with that meant that you couldn't do a low down payment loan. You had to have a minimum of 20% down. Point being, be ready in the crash, have a big old pile of cash saved up in order to be able to buy. Another important thing is you will need a job to be able to afford the real estate that you're purchasing. So make sure that you're in an industry that's relatively insulated from a major downturn. And we've just come through the pandemic and we've seen some industries that didn't do well in that and others that did do well. So that's an important consideration. If you're waiting for the crash, make sure you have a job that will be there during and after the crash so you can afford your monthly payments if you're going to finance. Number 2, are you tracking your local market? Now it's great. There's tons of resources on YouTube where they talk about big national trends, everything that's happening in the US and in the world, and that is definitely relevant. But what the heck is going on in your local market? That's even more relevant. You need to understand the trends and data in your own backyard to see when the market has shifted and when the market has crashed. Because what happens in small town Ohio where I grew up is very different from what happens in Southern California where I live now. And the same applies to you. You need to understand the numbers in your local market. You need to understand the closings, number of new listings, days on market, amount of inventory, and a whole lot more. There may be barriers to entry for new homes, so national new homes numbers aren't relevant to your local market. You need to understand what's going on with the local economy as well. There may be things that keep your economy moving along or things that are killing your economy during the crash. You need to understand this. Just because a certain part of the country is crashing doesn't mean that yours is going to crash at the same time. And just because another part of the country is recovering doesn't mean it'll be the same level of recovery in yours. So understand your local market. Number 3 is know your strike price. And let's explain what that means. So the top of the market and the bottom of the market have something very much in common. And what is that? You can't tell either until we've passed them. Until we're looking in the rearview mirror, you won't know whether it was the top or the bottom. You can't time up the real estate market. If you time it up right, it's an accident. No offense. So what you need to do is you need to set your strike price. You need to say, all right, this is the number. When the house I want hits this number, I'm going to buy. So you must figure out what your strike price is, and there's different ways to figure it out. You can pick a percentage off of today's prices. I hear people talking about half of pre-inflation prices. You pick the number that will be your strike price. And when real estate gets to that number, you buy. Another important point, when you're running your numbers on your local market, figure out how likely it is that that strike price will occur. And you can look at how your local area fared in the previous bust. Did you see drops of 30 or 40%? And try to extrapolate how it will turn out for your local market in a new bust. But that's what's important. Stick to your strike price, and when it comes, buy. What I want to know from you is, what is your strike price? Leave it in the comments below. Number 4 is an important one. Do you have somewhere to live? And you need to make sure you have a plan B, C, and D just in case you need to live somewhere longer than you think, if the crash is going to take longer than you think. So this is an important one. Be honest with yourself. Are you going to be in a comfortable position for where you are in your life for an extended amount of time? I'm talking 1, 2, or 3 years it could take before we start to see a downturn. Nobody knows for sure. Despite all those crazy videos you're watching, nobody knows for sure. So you need to make sure you have a backup plan. If you're living somewhere where you're renting and you know the landlord can triple your rent at the drop of a hat, that may not be a smart move. Get yourself in position so that you can live somewhere and ride it out if the crash takes longer than you think it does. You've got to keep yourself prepared. So we hope you found this helpful. We know a lot of people are hoping and waiting for a crash so they can jump in and get their piece of the American dream. But in the meantime, get yourself ready for it to happen. Otherwise, you may miss it. Just as prices went like this, when they go like this and this, you may miss it again. So make sure you're ready. So leave your comments below. Let me know what you're doing to get ready, and make sure you let us know what your strike price is. I'm very curious to see when it is that you'll jump into the market. Make sure you subscribe to our free weekly email newsletter where we cover topics like this and a whole lot more for buyers and sellers and tenants and landlords. We have a link below so you can do that, or you can text newsletter to 949-691-3566. We appreciate you tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we appreciate you.